Now, we move to the last part of this session. I humbly invite and request Mr. Sriram Haridas, Deputy Representative of UNFPA India, to please come and deliver his inaugural address as chief guest.
Thanks, Osama. Professor Said Ainul Hasanji, Dr. Sunitha Krishnanji, Professor Dwivedi, Professor Bhatt, Dr. Faizi, and Professor Shahid. Friends, colleagues who have come from across India, and all the young people who are here. Let me begin by saying I feel really humbled. As I was walking into the conference room, into the arena, someone addressed me as saying, Dr. Sriram. And I said, I might be a quack, but I'm not a doctor, you know. And here in the stage, I realized that I'm sitting with all the doctors and professors. So I think, Sunitaji, unlike you, for me, it's good to get away from that stage, even if it's for a few minutes. It's really nice for me to see so many young people here, you know, the young faces. Your energy and enthusiasm, it's very infectious in a good way, if I may also say that. And let me also thank MANUU and NAPSWI for organizing this. We are partnered also here, so it also gives me a pleasure that for the first time UNFPA has partnered in organizing this social work congress. Although now I have been living in India for a few years, this is the first time I'm attending this type of conference. So I'm really looking forward to the proceedings and what comes out of it. I come from an organization called UNFPA. I'm also realizing that not all of you here might be very familiar with the organization. So please allow me to give a brief introduction. UNFPA stands for United Nations Population Fund. We are the lead UN agency for delivering a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and more importantly, every young person's potential is fulfilled. We have been operating in India since 1974. So I think earlier someone talked about the Social Congress completed a decade. MANUU, I think, completed or soon will be doing the 25th year. So we will be completing 50 years next year, our partnership with Government of India. So it is a great time for us as well. We operate in 5-year program cycles. I'm not going to kind of bore you to death by going deep into the programming on what you do. Like Sunita ji, when I heard that, I'm coming here and speaking, I myself was also thinking, what should I talk about, given that this is a social work congress? Because the theme of leaving no one behind, like the theme it's for the conference here, it's also central for all what we do. Everything we do at UNFPA is grounded on the leaving no one behind principle. And Sunita ji did already talk about some population that are already left behind. So we also do work with a number of those population groups because the work ranges from providing sexual reproductive health services to addressing gender-based violence to working on data systems. But for today, I thought I will touch upon area of work which might be very relevant to the young people who are here. That is our area of work where we focus on providing opportunities and skills for young people so that they are empowered, that their leadership skills are enhanced, and they really become part of the group of decision makers, especially in designing program and plans and policies that affect them. Let's face it, right now in the world, there are 1.8 billion young people who are between the age of 10 to 24 years. That's quite a large number of people. But it also means that we have 1.8 billion opportunities in the world. If you take India, India is the country in the world with the largest number of young people in the world. So it is a very young country as well. So in fact, how these these young people, how they are going to navigate their formative years, is not only going to decide course of their lifespan or how their development, but India's overall development as well. And for me, so I'm going to talk about one particular area of our work, which is the life skills education. So the obvious question comes, what do we mean by life skills education? For me, simply put, life skills education is at the crossroads at which education and health, they both intersect, they both meet. It is crucial for advancing health outcomes. It's also crucial for advancing gender equality. It gives young people the tools that they need to have a healthy lives and relationships. It helps them to navigate life-changing decisions about their sexual and reproductive health. So it is very important. But is it being really rolled out? Are we reaching everyone whom we really want to reach? Are we imparting life skills education in the right manner? Unfortunately, in many occasions, the answer is no. There's an African proverb, which one of my colleagues from Africa told me, which has kind of stuck with me. It says, if you close your eyes to facts, you will only learn through accidents. And unfortunately, many a times, we do close our eyes to facts. Many young people receive, in the past, they have certainly received, and unfortunately, many places around the world, they continue to receive a range of scientifically incorrect, conflicting, and often confusing messaging about their health, their sexuality, their gender. Unfortunately, on a daily basis. What this does is, this leads to serious risks for their health, well-being, and their dignity as well. And what happens is then there are like very poor sexual and reproductive health outcomes. Unfortunately, that's a reality for many people. Why go elsewhere? Let me take my own example. Although I have a very Indian name, Sriram Haridas, I always joke saying it's more Indian than most Indians. I'm actually from Sri Lanka. So I come from a generation where when I was in school, in middle school, the concept of life skills education has just crept into Sri Lanka, and they just started introducing in my school. I went to a public school. But what they did was, so there was no trained teachers, unlike what we are doing in Bihar in the Madrasa program. There was no curricula as well. So the concept was there. They wanted to impart it. So out of all the teachers they could have picked, and since this is about social studies, I think I can complain about maths and engineering department. They picked the maths teacher to give us life skills education. First of all, everyone, as you can imagine, hated maths and maths teacher. So was not the best choice at all. He was obviously not interested in giving this. He wanted to just tick a box. But we went through that. But now on hindsight, now that I'm in this area of work, when I look back, it is absolutely a miracle that I'm standing here, given that all the incorrect information I received when I was in school. And that was the reality. Fortunately, things have changed. I think we have come a long way. Many of the success stories you will be hearing, I think today and in the course of next 2 days. But we still need to keep that in mind. And even in scenarios when you have a good curriculum, good modules, which are aligned to international standards, you have trained teachers who have been equipped, trained, they have been provided all the skills, facilities. I've often encountered sometimes teachers are not very comfortable imparting life skills education. I have personally seen, fortunately, touch wood, not in India, but in other countries that I have worked in, that teachers actually ripping off pages from the books of life skills education curriculum and manuals. Why go into even sexuality education? Even something as basic as menstrual hygiene management. Sometimes teachers are not willing to go and talk to their students in adolescence. And that is really an issue. So this mindset also needs to change. So there is no wonder when we hear in the news that there are adolescent suicides and adolescent pregnancies, because the information has not reached them. So it's high time that we give them the information that they really need. Of course, in a diverse country like India, there are also different populations, who have kind of different life skills education needs. So the information also needs to be scientifically correct information, of course, but it needs to be tailored according to the needs of that particular population. So therefore, the diverse approaches that we kind of come up with in coming up with the life skills education manuals and the training, they need to take into account the different situation. For example, the life experiences of young people. So that is absolutely critical. The education should also vary based on, say, their family situation, their socio-economic situation. In a country like India, which is very different compared to North and South. I'm coming from Delhi, and then I'm in Hyderabad. It's like I'm in a different country, and especially in a nice way, because Delhi is like high in pollution if you're following the news. So it's in more than one ways I'm happy to be in Hyderabad. So we need to kind of take these diverse backgrounds, diverse situations when we are coming up with the life skills education manual, so that we actually leave no one behind. Sunita ji talked about how kind of the curriculum or the training needs to be uniform. I have a slightly different view when it comes to the life skills education, because people come from different diverse background. There has to be, of course, it has to be aligned to international standards. I'm not saying that let's compromise on the curriculum, but it needs to be tailored according to their own kind of individual needs and regional preferences. So that's the point I just wanted to make. From a UNFPA side, I think I can be a bit boastful here. We have been supporting the government of India for the last 2 decades in a number of adolescent health programs. For example, we, together with the government of India, conceptualized the largest adolescent health program in the world, RKSK program. Currently, we are also helping the government to roll out the adolescent health and wellness program in schools and other districts. And we have, in addition to that, we use life skill as a very key tool to enhance the health and well-being of young people. There are many examples, and I earlier talked about how adolescent health programs or life skills education need to be tailored accordingly. There are many examples. There are a number of colleagues from UNFPA who are here, and I think there are several sessions planned in the conference. Dr. Faizi already talked about our partnership, what we are doing in Bihar, how we are imparting the life skills education in the madrasas successfully. That's one way we have tailored the program to suit that geography and that particular group of students. We are also imparting life skills education in different curricula. Apart from in Bihar, we are doing the life skills education for tribal populations in Odisha. We are also doing life skills education for people with disabilities in special school. So the program has been tailored accordingly. So I'm very proud how we have been doing. We have colleagues from here who will be talking about that more eloquently in the subsequent session. And for me, one of the great things about this conference is also that we get to share these success stories, what we are doing well, what others are doing well, so we all could learn from each other, and where there is a need for course correction, we can act accordingly. So that has been great. I would also like to share a question raised by one of the former executive directors of UNFPA, Dr. Nafis Sadiq. She put it very eloquently when she said, what kind of value system would send young people ignorant into the world when a little knowledge might actually save their lives? And for me, that's the essence about life skills education. It's about life-saving knowledge. It's about life-changing knowledge. In many, throughout the world, for different kind of sensitivities, we use different terminology to address life skills education. In some places, it's called preventive education. In some places, it's called 21st century skills. In some places, it's called life skills education. And in countries like Bhutan, which are more open and more progressive, they even call it as comprehensive sexuality education. So whatever you can call it, whatever name you call it, I don't mind. But at the end of the day, life skill education is about relationship. It's about human rights. It's about gender equality. It's about culture. It's about society. It's about sexuality. It's about opposing violence. It's about staying safe. It's about developing life skills, such as critical thinking, communication, and negotiation, about self-development, self-confidence, and decision-making, about taking responsibility and showing empathy. In fact, it nurtures positive attitude, values, including open-mindedness, respect for one and for the others as well, and a positive attitude towards sexual and reproductive health and well-being. So those are the fundamental values the life skills impart towards young people. And of course, I have to somehow tie this to the theme of this conference for the social work. So I'm coming to that. I've not forgotten that. So in a country like India, what increasingly we have realized is the government cannot do everything on its own. However much the government is willing and able, and even if they have the right intent, even us, even UN agencies, government getting together. So we need to expand our partnership. And for us, social workers play such a crucial role, especially in a country like India, where there are still huge number of marginalized population living in remote areas, where even when the government tries, it's not able to reach. And do keep in mind, although India has done very well in most of the development indicators, the school enrollment rate has gone up, it's still not 100%. So there are still quite a number of young people who are not attending school, especially at the higher grade. So how do we reach them? Just because they are not attending school or they are coming from a tribal area, is it fair that, they are not given the life skills education which all young people deserve in the world? And that's where I think the role of social workers come into play. Because I have seen firsthand the type of critical and selfless role social workers play around the country in reaching the most marginalized. So from my side, Professor Dwivedi, I think this would be a start of a partnership between us on how we can even involve social workers in reaching the most marginalized people, especially girls. I think that's where the focus is in some of these remote communities, how we could reach them with life skill information and other services as well. So I think the conference is there going to be for 3 days. I hope, and I think I'm going to get looks from my team when I say this, I hope by end of the 3 days, we could in fact come up with a kind of a draft roadmap on how we could, pursue this partnership and make sure that, especially with the focusing on the reaching the most marginalized, so that we actually don't leave anyone behind. So with that, today I had a very brief discussion with the Vice Chancellor. I was inspired, and then we were the discussion was cut short, saying that, people are waiting here. So I'm very keen to listen to him. So I don't want to take up any more of this time. But it gives me, again, immense pleasure to be here. I really look forward to the discussions. Do critique us, even when our colleagues present the UNFPA programs, although we believe that, we have developed and rolled out in the best possible intentions. If you see that there is a shortcoming, that there is something that we could do better, do critique us. I think that is the only way that we can improve and actually reach the most marginalized people. With that, thank you so much. Dhanyavad. I look forward to the discussions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hariram. It was really a very nice sharing from your side. And it was also very insightful in terms of the work of UNFPA and the need that India and other countries need, actually. So now, in the last part of this session, we'll move to listen our Vice Chancellor, his presidential remark. I humbly request Professor Syed Ainul Hasan, Vice Chancellor of Maulana Azad National Urdu University. Sir, please come and deliver your presidential remark.
Thank you, Dr. Osama. Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, participants, speakers, scholars, ladies and gentlemen. In Urdu language, there are certain expressions which can't be translated into other languages. So instead of using doctor, professor, Shri, Hari, I think I will start using Janab. So Janab Sitaram Haridas Sahab. This is also good to have add Sahab. जनाब आरपी द्विवेदी साहब, मोहतरमा सुनीता कृष्ण साहिबा, जनाब अमीर आफाक अहमद फैजी साहब, जनाब संजय भट्ट साहब, मेरे दोस्त जनाब शाहिद साहब, मोहम्मद शाहिद, and of course, girls and boys. As you know, Maulana Azad National Urdu University. This is Urdu University. It's by the Act of Parliament. The mandate is Urdu, and second is women education. These two are the mandatory requirements of this university. And friends, you'll be glad to know that the students coming to Maulana Azad National Urdu University are from highly marginalized sections of the society. When I say marginalized, I combine Urdu background also. Things should not be seen in isolation. Rather, we should see in totality. And therefore, we are admitting girls and boys without any discrimination, without any discrepancy. How? This year only, we admitted 250 more girls compared to last year. And we have distance as well as regular mode. And if you combine them together, you will find exactly 40-60 ratio. And this 40-60 ratio, I'm sure, would definitely come to 50-50 in the days to follow. So this is the success story of Maulana Azad National Urdu University in the last 25 years. And that's how we see light somewhere. We see the dawn. There is hardly any word like disappointment. There is only appointment and appointment. There are people who often perceive that there's a conflict between tradition and modernity. Well, this must be your opinion. But what I see here, in all practical terms, that it's a wonderful combination, tradition and modernity. Our students coming from highly marginalized section, high traditional background, but they opt modern sciences, from technology to environment, from agriculture to physical sciences, and from geophysics to artificial intelligence. Now look, our supply line is well connected to madrasas. They are mentioning around 2,000 madrasas in Bihar only. And we are in 13 states. When I say we have off campuses also. Off campuses where our units are working very hard, whether in Bihar or in Uttar Pradesh, starting from Jammu and Kashmir and down to southern part of India where Kadpa, in the eastern part, Cuttack, and Asansol and Calcutta. We are likely to approach Assam. In Maharashtra, we have several centers. We have in NAPSWI, we have a center in Haryana. In Sambhal, we have in Uttar Pradesh near Moradabad, in the interiors of Moradabad, we have. Now look at this. This is the size of this university, and we are catering to the needs of large number of people who really need our help. And that's how we are existing here. Now, there are certain questions, and of course, well taken. We must pay attention to these questions raised by many speakers. And I know that difficulties are there. Who is to blame? First, let us identify who is to blame. And you will find the one in your midst only. Don't go out of the arena where you live. There you have to find means and ways in order to inculcate your strength and combine various people together. How to do it? It is very difficult to identify challenges. There are challenges. In Urdu poetry, it is said that भीड़ में कुछ पांव दब जाते हैं अक्सर पांव से. भीड़ में कुछ पांव दब जाते हैं अक्सर पांव से. कौन अंधा है कोई मालूम कर सकता है क्या? Where we are, we should identify and we should start questioning. This question is important. I'm glad that, Sunita ji, you talked about your professionalism. It should be perceived in the right perspective. Prajwala is working in Hyderabad, I know. And then when you say that, that reminds me of a rare species. The Parsis, there was a celebration of New Year, Parsi New Year, and one highly professional person attributed a word of rare species. They took it otherwise. So I think let us be very careful while using our terms also. But let others realize that, look, there are rarest of the rare people around us. We should seek help from them. We should seek contribution from Prajwala also. So many organizations are involved, like Indian Social Work Congress is, of course, well-established one. Then Minority Welfare Department, Bihar. And then UNFPA is also there. You can see the representation. And National Association of Professional Social Work in India, Dwivedi is there. So I'm sure with the combined effort, solid combined effort, we can do the needful in a very, very short span of time. People say that वो जिसके साथ बहुत दूर मुझको जाना था, सलूक उसका मेरे साथ ताजराना था. जरा मैं राख समेटूं तो कुछ सुराग लगे, यहीं कहीं पे मेरा भी गरीब खाना था. और हवा घरों में कहाँ इतनी तेज चलती है, हवा घरों में कहाँ इतनी तेज चलती है, उसे तो सिर्फ हमारा दिया बुझाना था. I'm sure that with a combined effort, leave no one behind. Education, health, social inclusion, these three are interconnected bogies. Please do something for the benefit of those who need all these three, in these three sectors, who need your help. And then, yes, inclusion. And that's how, when you give a slogan, leave no one behind, also another slogan should be, leave no stone unturned. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful sharing and इतनी खूबसूरत शायरी करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. So this was the last from our side in this session. Before I request IMC to play the national anthem. On behalf of, again, the Department of Social Work, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad, National Association of Professional Social Workers in India, in collaboration, partnership with United Nations Population Fund, India, I again thank you, all of our participants, dignitaries, that they all came from all across the country and took time for this 3 days conference. We are hoping that we'll be having very good time. So with this note, I am taking leave and I request IMC team to play the national anthem, and I also request the audience to please stand up.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you very much. Now we'll disperse for the tea break and we'll come back again after 15 minutes for another session. That is the session of Lifetime Achievement Award given by NAPSWI. So please join us for tea outside this auditorium. And please